Today, we're diving into sensation and perception, two processes involved in the way we experience and interact with the world. Firstly, sensation. This is the collection of raw sensory data through sensory receptors, which are nerve cells associated with our five senses. Receiving and processing sensory information is a complex biological process, but we can boil it down to 5 key steps. 1. Attention. Before our brain can process a sensation, we need to notice it. For example, if you're sitting in a classroom daydreaming, you may not be processing what the teacher is saying because you aren't paying attention. 2. Transduction. This occurs when we transform raw data from sensation into electrical impulses, the brain's language essentially. 3. Transmission. Once transduction has occurred, the electrical signals travel through nerves to different areas of the brain. We can imagine this process by thinking about taking and sending pictures with a smartphone. For example, our phone camera captures the light from the environment and converts it into a digital image, transduction. Transmission would then be sending the image through text or Bluetooth to another device. Step 4. Coding. Here we start to make meaning of those signals the brain is receiving through a sorting system that looks for connections to prior knowledge or experiences. This is where we recognize that familiar face in the street or remember the name of the song that we can hear playing. Finally, adaptation. This is the change in the level of attention we are paying to something. Our brains move our attention away from non-essential sensory input over time to avoid sensory overload and allow for efficient processing of all the sensory data constantly being received. For example, the feeling of a new piece of jewelry or the background noise of a ticking clock slowly fading over time. Above, we talked about perception, the meaning-making of sensory input. There are 2 different ways our brain approaches this: top-down processing and bottom-up processing. Top-down processing is when we build our perception off of our prior knowledge and past experiences, organized into a kind of filing system called schema in our brain. For example, you walk into your bedroom and the lights are off, but you can recognize where and what different items are because it's familiar to you and your brain can fill in the gaps. Or you're interpreting messy handwriting by filling in gaps and using context clues. On the other hand, bottom-up processing uses all the little pieces of raw sensory data to piece together an understanding like a jigsaw puzzle. You might use this process if you are meeting someone new and taking in their facial features, or reading a new language starting with the letter recognition. So there we have it, the complex and essential process of sensation and perception.